Live from Bryant-Denny Stadium, it's the Crimson Tide Kickoff A-Day Special with Gary Harris, presented by Alpha Insurance.
And welcome in, everybody, to Crimson Tide Kickoff, presented, as you heard, by Alpha Insurance. I'm Gary Harris. We've got a loaded show for you today, a special A-Day version of CTKO. You can join in the conversation on Twitter, using the hashtag CTKO. Of course, we're excited for the A-Day game later this afternoon at 2 p.m., but maybe not quite as excited as the players.
I love playing in that stadium. It's always a great feeling. So just another opportunity to do that and just play the sport that I love to play.
And we're happy and blessed to have the opportunity to do what we love. That is, present you with great Crimson Tide coverage. And we're all over the place on campus. Jack Royer is near the Walk of Champions. We'll go to him for our Pepsi fan cam coming up. Plus, Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott is in front of the quad. He'll bring us the latest on this weather forecast. Got to get the rain out of here. Of course, we'll look at the ins and outs of today's game to be played again at 2 p.m. inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. Plenty of storylines heading into the 2016 season. And that brings us to our Bama headlines.
For the latest on the Crimson Tide, you don't need the newspaper. You need Bama headlines.
Arguably the main Bama headline this spring is the quarterback race. 4 quarterbacks vying for just one starting spot. Cooper Bateman's the only QB on the roster with college experience. The other QBs looking to take over for Jake Coker are David Cornwell, Blake Barnett, and Jalen Hurts. Nick Saban did say A-Day would be a factor in evaluating his quarterbacks. Well, injuries the Tide took this season were certainly a factor as well. Senior defensive lineman Jonathan Allen has been in a black jersey all spring, recovering from shoulder surgery, while Cam Robinson also avoided contact in practices. Robinson dealt with a variety of injuries in the fall. Another black shirt this spring was put on Defensive Player of the Game from the National Championship, Eddie Jackson. Plus, sophomore running back Ronnie Clark tore his Achilles in practice earlier this week, reportedly tore his Achilles in practice. What a tough blow. That was on Thursday, and he is certainly a fine young man. We hope he recovers well from that. Another storyline surrounding the Tide this spring has been the 3 new coaches on the staff. We'll break down the changes coming up later on in the program on those new coaches. This is Nick Saban's 10th A-Day. The head coach has seen some changes to spring football over his career. We'll have more on all these storylines throughout the next hour. Well, fans are already in line waiting to bust through the gates for today's festivities. The A-Day attendance has dipped over the past few years, and head coach Nick Saban is hoping that changes this afternoon.
A-Day is a special day around here, and I want our fans to know that it's really important to our players, how they support our team during A-Day. I think it's important that our fans show that they have just as much interest and enthusiasm for the program as they've ever had, and they continue to come and support the team at this time of year.
Well, let's go take a look at some of that fan support that is certainly building us. Joining us on the Pepsi fan cam is WVUA 23's Jack Royer. Jack, what's the atmosphere like in front of the stadium? I know it's wet out there. How is it going?
Gary, we're down here in front of the stadium with some of the Crimson Tide's most loyal fans. We played Krispy Kreme trivia with these guys all last year, and they won some big donuts for the Crimson Tide. I know the rain was here this morning, but you guys, that didn't stop you. Y'all excited for another Crimson Tide football season?
Oh, very much so. We're going to do it again. We're going to win it all again. Oh,
Look,
yeah.
We got the 16 sticker right here. We got all the classic buttons.
And we're going to roll this year, too. We're going to win them all this year.
Now, the Houndstooth twins are usually out here today, but I see you're going Stag this afternoon.
I'm solo today.
Okay.
She went down to see Nick at the luncheon.
Okay. Well, there's plenty to do on this A-Day out here. This is the Pepsi Buffalo Rock fan cam, and we're excited to have you guys on here. What's it like today? We're not sure what kind of a crowd to expect on a day with this much weather, but the sun should be out later. You guys will be in the game, I know, Philip.
Oh, no doubt. And then we're going to pull off a big old win today.
I heard somebody.
If we lose today, we in bad trouble.
That's right. Hey, I hear Alabama's a tough team to beat, though. You know what I'm saying?
It is. They are tough, man. I think they're like a 7-point
$100.
no.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that. Guys, enjoy the day. Roll Tide, guys. It's good to see you.
Okay.
Gary, more fan cam coming up in a little bit. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Jack. I'm telling you, man, Bama fans, no little bit of rain is going to slow them down. That is for sure. They are ready to roll. Well, there's plenty of things to do for the fans, too. A-Day always brings activities beyond just the football. Here are some of the fun things to do for Crimson Tide fans, just some of them. The Mercedes-Benz Fan Fest is already underway. It's outside the north end zone. That's the corner of University and Wallace Way Drive. There will be games, giveaways, and best of all, inflatables. At 11:30, the alumni flag football game featuring a number of former Bama players will take place inside the stadium. And you'll want to be near the Denny Chimes, of course, at 12:15. That's for the annual Walk of Fame ceremony. 2016 captains Jake Coker, Derrick Henry, Ryan Kelly, and Reggie Ragland will all be in attendance and will speak to the crowd. After that, they will all leave their handprints and cleat prints in the concrete forever. It's a great, great event. 12:50, one of the great traditions, the Walk of Champions. And then, of course, at 2 o'clock, it's the A-Day game. So a lot of activities, many of them outdoors. And let's check in and see how the weather is going to do. Is it going to get on out of here? For that, we bring in WVUA 23 Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott. Richard, what are we looking at outdoors today? Is it going to clear up?
Hey, Gary, the rain's out of here. We actually looked at the radar. You and I were talking about this before the show. Kind of had a laugh there because there's one shower, just a lone shower that came right over Tuscaloosa. Guess kind of had to cool things off. A lot of heat here in Tuscaloosa with the big game this afternoon. But, you know, the rain's getting out of here. Let's check out things with the temperatures first off. 57, it is cooler in Tuscaloosa, that passing shower. 63 in Birmingham, 64 in Sylacauga. Temperatures will be, again, getting warmer later on today. Let's check out satellite and radar. And look at this, one shower moving right over Tuscaloosa. It's gone. Notice east of us, the weather's coming from the east today. We got sunshine returning to areas to the east, Interstate 65. That moves in later today. Now, it's going to be a slow process. It'll take a while to get the sun back out, but it will happen a little later today. But notice east of us, no more rain. So if you've got plans outdoors, leave that umbrella at home. You're not going to need it for the rest of the day, as this little lone showers moved on to the west of us. Check out the winds out there. A little breezy today. You're going to notice that cool air wedge you had over the past couple of days still affect today with winds around 5 to Tuscaloosa, but you go over to Birmingham, Sylacauga, that stronger winds coming our way. It will be breezy this afternoon, so that's one thing you will notice. All right, game day forecast. Look at that. Check out things at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Again, if you're going to be outdoors for the game today, 11 o'clock in the morning, still some clouds around 2 o'clock, still some clouds, but we will be warming despite the clouds. Temperatures in the low 70s at 2 o'clock, about 74 by 4 p.m. If you're heading out to the game, we'll notice increase in sunshine, but no more rain today. That is one good thing. Of course, Gary, we will talk more about weather coming up a little bit, but again, good news, the rain has ended in Tuscaloosa.
Thanks, Richard. Good news for you, too, that rain has ended, because I tell you, a lot of people are holding you accountable. But,
hey, I agree, Gary.
Good job on that forecast. Well, stick around. We have plenty more coming up on this 8-day edition of Crimson Tide Kickoff. We're just getting started, including a great roster of guests. Parker Barrineau from last year's championship team will join us. The Alabama men's tennis coach, George Husack, is coming up. And host of the game on Tide 99.1 in Tuscaloosa, Ryan Fowler, will break down A-Day. But first off, the man with a 95-yard touchdown return in the national championship victory over Clemson, Kenyan Drake, will be in studio. We'll talk about his career with the Crimson Tide and his prospects in the National Football League. That's next on CTKO.
Drake makes a cut, gets the corner. Look out, Kenyan Drake can fly. Eludes the kicker and will not be caught. Touchdown, Drake. 95 yards.
It's one of the great moments in Alabama football history. Kenyan Drake's 95-yard touchdown kickoff return to put the Crimson Tide up 38-27 over Clemson. Alabama, of course, would go on and hang on to win 45-40, securing the school's 16th national championship. And we are thrilled to be joined by the man who had that 95-yard touchdown return. Kenyan is in studio. Man, good to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, before we talk about anything, let's talk about that moment. And you had a lot of great ones in your career, but on that stage, with that game in jeopardy, hanging on a big play, you made it.
Yeah, and it was just, by the grace of God, I was put in that situation. Great teammates, great coaches, around to really, give me support through my adversity. And, I try to make the most of that one moment and, thank God, I made that play.
I want to ask you about last year. You were here in 2012, so you had a national championship ring. The disappointments of coming so close in 2013, 2014, I know fueled that team last year. But last year as a senior, with you and Henry splitting time in the backfield, that team seemed like it had a bond, and I guess all championship teams do, but that last year's team, after that Ole Miss game, it just felt like to me, covering you guys, that you just got together as a team, not even with the coaches, and just said, we won't lose again.
Yeah, we did, and I think it really epitomized, how we really tried to come together, like you said, after that Ole Miss loss. And, as a senior class, like you mentioned, my freshman year, we won the championship, and those seniors really, gave us a championship legacy to live up to.
Right.
And then, this year coming in as seniors, we wanted to do the same thing for the underclassmen so they can continue that legacy.
2015, the Ole Miss game, or 2014, the Ole Miss game, with the broken leg, and to come back from that. And at the time, man, we looked at that injury. I mean, it looked bad. And I know a lot of people were saying, we hope Kenyan can even just come back and walk from that. To come back from that, to rehab, to put the time in, and then have a year like last year, what did that mean to you?
It meant a lot. It just, was a testament to the support staff I have around me. From my coaches, my teammates, the training staff, everybody, that helped me get back to this moment. And, I couldn't be more thankful for the opportunities that I've had here, adversity that I faced to make me the better person I can be on and off the field.
Early in your career, when you came out of Powder Springs, Georgia, like a lot of guys that come to Alabama, you were highly recruited. You could have gone just about anywhere. There was some adversity early in your career, on and off the field. Did you ever, at that time, consider leaving Alabama and going somewhere else?
I mean, no, because I knew I came to Alabama, for that, that kind of adversity to push me to, mold me into the, the man I wanted to be. And I knew no place in the country could make me, a better man on and off the field like coming here. And, facing adversity, yeah, it was tough at times just because, any kind of adversity that you face, you face sometimes opposition. So it's a little difficult, but you have to just keep your head down and focus on the task at hand. And at the end of the day, I couldn't wrote a better script on how I wanted my career to end.
I know you get asked this one all the time. I'm going to ask it too. What's it like playing for Nick Saban?
It's great. He challenges you in every facet of the game. From small practice etiquette to making a big play on a big stage. So he's one of the most genuine people that you'll ever meet. But he just commands, greatness out of everybody, and that's what I appreciate about him.
We got a minute left before we talk about your future. Real quickly on these running backs, Harris and Scarborough, kind of picking it up where you and Henry left off. What are these guys like? What can they do for Alabama this year?
They're probably really going to come with the same almost, tempo that me and Derek came with, but they both have power and speed. They're both complete backs. And they both still complement each other. So when they get in the game, it's not going to be much, difference besides, their sheer size from each other. But they're great players, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do this year.
You're a college graduate. You got a couple national championship rings. You're closing this chapter, and you're getting ready for a new one in the National Football League. How excited are you about what's coming up here in a couple of weeks with the draft?
Very excited. 2 weeks left for from a lifetime of dreaming. And I'm just excited to, have this opportunity. You only get to go through this draft process one time. I'm trying to take, every day a step at a time. And, I can't wait to, see, what the future lies for me.
And after A-Day, some folks are going to get a chance to see you. Tell me about your autograph signing you got coming up later on today and where and when and how people can get up with you.
Yeah, I have an autograph signing in the Publix parking lot from 4 to 6. Okay. Fans can come out. I think it was an advanced ticket purchasing, but I think you can, probably buy tickets there too. So, come out and, come say, hey, I'd love to see you.
Yeah, spend some time with Kenyan this afternoon after the game. All right, man, appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Well, Kenyan Drake is going to be playing for some new coaches this fall in the NFL. And likewise, the Alabama football team features some new coaching faces. We'll talk about the changing tide on Nick Saban's staff. Plus,
I really appreciate our fans. I really appreciate the enthusiasm and support that we had today. And I know that it inspired our players and certainly was positive for them to have the experience that they had today playing in front of a great crowd.
That was Nick Saban after his very first 8A 9 years ago. Find out how the Crimson Tide head coach caused a spring game ripple effect throughout the country. That's coming up next. As you take a look inside Bryant-Denny Stadium live, it's clearing up. It's Crimson Tide Kickoff A-Day Special. And we're back right after this timeout.
this is a special day. A lot of special people going to be here, and I hope there's a lot of people that turn out to try to support our team.
A special day indeed, and that's why we have a special Crimson Tide Kickoff A-Day version live inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. I'm Gary Harris. Well, earlier in the week, Coach Saban talked about all the people that, most of the people, in fact, that didn't expect him to make it to his 10th A-Day. You're looking at scenes from his very first A-Day game back in 2007. Now, Alabama went just 7-6 that season. They had to beat Colorado in the Independence Bowl to have a winning record. But since then, Alabama is 98-12 with 4 national championships. So quite a bit has changed since Saban's first season in Tuscaloosa, including the A-Day game. And we're joined now by WVUA 23 sports anchor and reporter Zach Tigert. Zach, spring games weren't always such a big event.
Absolutely. Every year, thousands of Alabama fans flock to Bryant-Denny Stadium in the month of April for their first chance to see the Crimson Tide in the new season. April means A-Day in Tuscaloosa, and while the game is a yearly tradition, the magnitude of the game is relatively new.
We didn't have anywhere near what they do today.
Alabama Athletic Director Bill Battle knows a thing or two about spring games. Battle played for Coach Bryant in the early 60s before coaching at the University of Tennessee in the 70s.
A few thousand people was a good crowd. Probably when I was a player and a coach. That wasn't something that a ton of people came to.
Crowds grew as years went on, but in 2007, an unprecedented 92,000 fans turned up to see first-year head coach Nick Saban lead the Crimson Tide. That game set the tone for the Saban era.
I do remember the first A-Day here. That was probably as much to do with the success of the program because of the energy and enthusiasm and the passion that 91,000 people showed in showing up.
After that day, spring games across the country became a big deal, with other SEC and Power 5 schools urging their fans to come out.
It's mind-boggling. It doesn't happen anywhere else in the country than around the South, and Alabama, I guess, raised the bar to an all-time level.
Alabama held the record for spring game attendance until 2009 when Ohio State hit the 95,000 mark. While attendance has declined recently, Alabama has still averaged over 81,000 fans per game under Saban.
It makes him mad when we don't get that many every year. He thinks everybody's gone complacent on him, but we hope it'll be a good crowd this Saturday.
And the fans have been out since about 8 o'clock this morning when I first got here, and we've seen those numbers gradually increase standing out here in front of Reese Pfeiffer. So we may just see a new attendance record set today. Gary?
Thank you so much, Jack. Of course, the activities, some of which we've gone over, have really increased during Saban's tenure at Alabama. The crowd has been a presence every year, but what hasn't changed is the fact that there's a lot on the line for these Crimson Tide football players. With all the hoopla surrounding A-Day, it's easy to forget there is a football game that's going to be played. And Rodney Orr of TiderInsider.com and Tider Insider TV has more on what to look for in this afternoon's contest.
Well, I think the most important thing is that you're injury-free. I think that's what makes a spring game most successful, is when you don't get a lot of guys banged up or severe injuries. So that's the most important thing today. Now, with that said, I think there's a lot of really young guys to keep an eye on. On the offensive line, a guy like true freshman Jonah Williams at right tackle, Lester Cotton at left guard, at right guard, Brandon Kennedy, at center, Ross Piercebaker, those kind of guys, just to see how they work together in this particular game. Watch the quarterbacks, see how they respond in this type of atmosphere. A lot of these guys have never had an opportunity to play on the Bryant-Denny Stadium turf. So I think this is a great opportunity for those guys to get some experience. I think when you look on the defensive side of the ball, watch a guy like Rashawn Evans and see how he performs at inside linebacker after being moved there this year. I think there's a lot of really young talent in the secondary. Keep an eye on number 14, Deontay Thompson. He's a guy that's, though he may not contribute significantly in terms of being a starter this year, he's a guy that down the road I think can really make a strong contribution to the program. So those are just some of the guys maybe that you haven't heard of much before that I'd keep an eye on today.
Thank you, Rodney, for that Tider Insider analysis. Let's take a look at how the two 8A teams break down. Coach Saban splits it up, so he's putting the ones on offense against the ones on defense, good versus good, and the twos against the twos, and so forth. The Crimson Tide team has the top offensive unit, although Saban said there's no separation between the 4 quarterbacks at this point. He puts Cooper Bateman and David Cornwell on the Crimson team. They will have Bo Scarborough lining up in their backfield. The top 2 receivers are on the outside, Calvin Ridley and Adarius Stewart, as well as tight end O.J. Howard. The O-line will consist of the likes of Lester Cotton, Corden Curvin, Ross Pierce-Baker, and Jonah Williams. Those are just some of the standouts on the Crimson squad. As for the white team, it's defensive heavy, of course. Deshaun Hand, Deron Payne, and Dalvin Tomlinson on the defensive line. The white team features Ryan Anderson, Reuben Foster, Sean Dion Hamilton, and Tim Williams at linebacker. They can bring some kind of pop. And in the secondary, Mika Fitzpatrick, Ronnie Harrison, Marlon Humphrey, Eddie Jackson, and Marie Smith. The white team has J.K. Scott at punter, and the Crimson team has the place kicker, Adam Griffith. Well, we're going back out to the Walk of Champions where some folks, they can't even wait for the game. They are already playing some football out there. As you can see with our Pepsi fan cam, folks are really mingling around. The rain is not dampening any spirits. We'll have that for you coming up right after the break. Plus, another member of the 2015 championship team, Parker Barrineau, the American Christian Academy graduate, will join me next in the studio when we come back to Crimson Tide Kickoff.
Back to Crimson Tide Kickoff here on WVUA 23. You're looking live at the Pepsi fan cam here on the Walk of Champions. 6 or 7 years ago, the Paul Bear Bryant statue out here was probably the most popular of the coaches as fans came out here to see the winningest coach here at Alabama. The Nick Saban statue, though, this year has provided some competition to the Bear as a lot of fans are out here to see the current head coach in bronze. We're here with Carmen and Eileen from Andalusia, Alabama, who brought their grandkids to Tuscaloosa to see today's A-Day game. Carmen, you came a long way today.
Yes.
What are you excited about today for A-Day?
Oh, just all the people being with all the fans. It's just a wonderful day. The rain could not stop us from coming.
And the rain, thankfully, has stopped itself today, so you're looking forward to some sunshine today. You told me this is a special day for you. You about to camp out and wait for Nick Saban to get here?
Right, and see the team. Yes.
Y'all want to see the team. You said you're from Andalusia. Who are those famous people from Andalusia?
Yes, Robert Orr and Nico Johnson.
Well, you're here to see. There are a lot of famous people from Tuscaloosa here today, too. So
thank you.
Good to see you guys. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide!
They are in line to see Nick Saban's statue. They'll get to see him walk by here at about 12:50 for the usual Walk of Champions festivities. We'll have a look for you in a bit on the Pepsi fan cam. I'm Jack Royer. Gary, back to you.
Thank you, Jack. Good job, buddy. Well, it's already turning into a wild scene in front of Bryant-Denny Stadium, as you see, and why not? This will be the first time that the Crimson Tide will be back on the playing surface at Bryant-Denny Field for a game since last November. And one person who was right there on the field with his teammates celebrating this past season, Parker Barrineau, joins us. Parker, good to have you, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Last year, I already talked to Kenyan Drake about it. It was special. I think you were redshirted in 2012.
I was.
But you were still here.
Yes.
But last year, to be an active player, to close out your career, you could have come back for a 5th season. You decided not to, but to close out your career with a national championship, I guess it just doesn't get any better than that, huh?
Oh, it was awesome. I take a lot of pride in winning championships around here, and it's a standard. And to finish your senior season off with the championship is a blessing and an honor.
I want to ask you about the decision to come to UA. And I know you're a UA family, but still, coming out of American Christian Academy, you had some scholarship offers. Now, you decided to walk on here, and then later you earned a scholarship. But the decision to turn down scholarship offers to walk on at Alabama, I know you had to weigh that some. What was the deciding factor to go ahead and come to UA?
Oh, yeah. Well, with Coach Saban being here and the team being so successful, it was hard to leave town. Watching them win a championship when I was in high school. And I could have gone to a smaller place and probably played more, but I couldn't leave town with Coach Saban, and what he's done here has been awesome, and I just couldn't leave town. So.
Yeah, you were preferred walk-on, and as I said, you worked here all the way up to scholarship and got to play. It wasn't like you just stood on the sideline. I mean, it's one thing to come here, another thing to actually earn playing time and be a big part of a championship team. That's something really that you can treasure the rest of your life.
Oh, yeah. It's something us walk-ons as well take a lot of pride in. We practice hard every day regardless of how much we're going to play. But getting to play and play on special teams and on offense every now and then was an honor and something that I took a lot of pride in. So.
All right, the beat goes on. It's a new year. You're done with football. You're still in graduate school here at UA. But this 2016 team, you know these guys, most of them, a few freshmen will come in and help out. But this receiving core, man, I think they got a chance to be special. When you look at what really does a freshman, our Darius Stewart's big play capability, Robert Foster was off to an unbelievable start last year before he got hurt. And now you've got Gary Dieter coming in, who was a 1,000-yard receiver with double-digit touchdowns last year for Bowling Green. How good can this group be, Parker?
I tell you, they're very explosive with Darius Stewart and Ridley and Robert Foster, 3 of the fastest receivers in the country. Like Stewart said, they're assassins. They really are. And we also have guys like Cam Sims and Derek Keith that are big guys that can go get the ball. So it's not that we only have 3 guys. We're very deep at the position, and they can really make plays and make a difference for this team this year.
You know the expectations around here as well as anybody. Just because you won one last year, you know these fans, they want another one this year. This team, how good can it be, do you think, the 2016 squad?
I don't think they expect anything but a championship. That's what they work for every day. Coach Saban pushes his staff and the players. You know, that's a standard around here, and I think they can be great. You know, we don't recruit around here, we reload. So I think we'll be just fine.
Good to see you, buddy.
Thank you.
Bonnie and Rob, if you're watching, you did well with this one. All right, when we come back, Alabama's recipe for success is more than just what happens in the weight room or on the practice field. It's also about what happens in the kitchen. We'll explain on that. Plus,
that's all I hear. Steak.
All right, steak to the winner, beans and franks to those less fortunate. More about the post-game eats when we come back. You're watching the Crimson Tide Kickoff A-Day Special brought to you by Alpha Insurance. Do not go anywhere. You stay with us. We're back after this. You're looking live inside Bryant-Denny Stadium, where this afternoon at 2 o'clock, it's A-Day. Alabama's guaranteed a victory. Well, unless I guess there's a tie, but Nick Saban will break that. He don't want no ties during the A-Day game. It's the Crimson Tide Kickoff A-Day Special. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'm Gary Harris. Well, rarely in college football do things remain the same from year to year. It's just the nature of it. Players leave, players come in. But one thing that never changed during Nick Saban's previous 8 seasons was his defensive coordinator. But after the national championship, Kirby Smart took a head coaching job at his alma mater, the University of Georgia. It was time for him to step up. That set off a bit of a domino effect. Secondary coach Mel Tucker went with Smart, so Saban went out and brought in Jeremy Pruitt, coming back to Alabama to replace Kirby Smart, and Derek Ainsley coming back to Alabama to replace Tucker. Less changed on offense. However, Saban did shuffle things around a bit, bringing in Brent Key from Central Florida to handle the interior of the offensive line. Bobby Williams, who previously coached the tight ends and special teams, has taken an off-the-field role as a special assistant to Coach Saban. Running backs coach Burton Burns will now assist with the special teams unit, while Mario Cristobal will focus on the tackles and tight ends and also the special teams. A lot of movement, but the overall sentiment with the players is not much has changed at all.
I mean, no difference, honestly. Just basically the name in the room changing, man. Both guys are great coaches, man.
Me and Coach Burns, we'll meet sometimes and just kind of talk about special teams and stuff. We really don't meet a lot with Coach Burns just because he's got running backs and stuff.
They're both great coaches. Kirby was a great coach. Now, Coach Pruitt is stepping in. Of course, he's a new guy, but he's not really new because he's been here before. So a lot of people know him, when we were recruits, because when we were younger in high school, he was here. So it's not really much of a difference.
And this sounds strange, but one of the mainstays now on Coach Saban's staff is offensive coordinator Lane Kiffin. When he got here, most people said that won't last long, but it has. Kiffin's offense, though, in terms of starters, has been anything but consistent. 2016 will be his 3rd year at Alabama with his 3rd different starting running back and 3rd different starting quarterback. But one of those former starters thinks he'll continue to find success because of his coaching style.
I think he takes our strengths and use them to the best ability that he can. So I think that's the best thing that he does, and he sits down and talks with us and gets to know us and see how we react in certain situations. And I think that what makes us the best that we can be, because we're very comfortable with him. We trust him. We know that he's not going to put us in a situation that we're not going to be able to be successful.
And Blake Sims will join 2 other former Crimson Tide quarterbacks in this year's A-Day Quarterback Challenge at halftime. Last year's starter Jake Coker will compete against Sims. That'll be interesting. And the third competitor is former 3-year starter John Parker Wilson. Now, the event, as I said, will take place at halftime. All 3 will compete in a battle of skills featuring 9 throws from various distances to moving targets. It'll be fun. Well, Lane Kiffin isn't the only returner on the staff. The Crimson Tide's nutritionist has been with the program since 2010. Her role is all a part of Nick Saban's famed process. The process is detailed and encompasses a wide range of factors that help the athletes perform at an elite championship level. One of those factors is Amy Bragg.
Amy Bragg is the University of Alabama's Director of Performance Nutrition, a position she's held since 2010. Her task? Providing Crimson Tide athletes the fuel to succeed.
The gas, the food that you run on, it is essential. Coaches want adequately fueled and hydrated athletes, and they need to be that in order to stay healthy and to perform at their best.
But it's not just about telling the athletes what they should and should not eat. Bragg establishes relationships with players.
Ms. Amy talk a lot, probably 2-3 times a week about, my diet. When my weight start creeping up, she get with me, or I'll get up with her, and, she has a plan and usually help me get right back down.
I think that athletes value it when you know them, you know their tendencies, you know what their goals are, meaning for their body and their weight and their body comp, and you use your knowledge of them to nudge them in the right way.
Thereby nudging them towards better performance.
You're going to bench more, you're going to run faster, you're going to get more reps, you're going to develop yourself more specifically for your sport. And this is part of the next level.
And for some of these young men, many of whom never considered their diets prior to meeting Amy Bragg, it's a learning experience.
We think of, okay, this is your practice, this is your conditioning, these are the books on the shelf. Your nutrition are the things that hold your books, they're your bookends. Books don't stand up without it.
I've been with her in the kitchen cooking, showing me how to do, healthy things and how to eat right. So yeah, she contributes a lot, and I love her.
A love that stays strong even on A-Day, when her players deviate from their given diets.
How do you feel after the game when you're watching them eat steak and beans and hot dogs?
Steak and beans. It's just part of it. It's fun. I want them to enjoy their food, absolutely, but I also want them to value it in a different way.
In a way that fits the process. For Crimson Tide Kickoff, I'm Brandon Kammerman.
Thank you, Brandon. Great piece. Well, you heard Miss Amy laugh about steak and beans. Well, it's no laughing matter for the players, especially for those that have been on the losing end and have yet to have a steak.
I had beans ever since I've been here, so I gotta hopefully get me a steak this time.
Last year I was on the losing team. The year before that I was on the winning team. So you always want to win. You always want to get that steak. It's like a pride thing. And this one being my last one, I want to go out with a steak. To be able to talk. Me and Alphonse Taylor, that's like one of my best friends on the team. We was like, man, we gotta get a steak this year, man. So that's a big thing.
So Brandon Green there, part of the offensive line, and the guys that probably eat the most steak, beans, franks, whatever's out there, are those offensive linemen. Find out how that unit won last year's Joe Moore Award, and how is it shaping up for this year's team this spring. Plus, the men's tennis SEC championships are coming up in less than a week up in Columbia, South Carolina. We'll sit down with Crimson Tide head coach George Husack. That's next on CTKO. Oh, baby, the Alabama men's tennis team letting loose a little bit on a road trip. You got to have some fun, and you'd always find time for that, even in a competitive sporting environment. And we're having fun here on Crimson Tide Kickoff, and we're pleased to be joined in the studio by the head coach of the men's tennis team, George Husack. Coach, good to be with you.
Thanks so much.
Glad to have you. Hey, man, we're going to talk about SECs in a moment, but tomorrow's a really big day. Before we get to that, it's your final match, your home match, senior day, and just a big, big day for not just the seniors, but the whole program.
Yeah, it is. It's our last home match for the regular season. Prepares us for SECs next week, and
big day for Becker O'Shaughnessy, our lone senior, and certainly a big day for us to keep moving in the right direction.
Yeah, speaking of moving in the right direction, and I don't want to jinx you because I know you feel like there's work to be done, but you're staring the postseason right in the face. You need to go to SECs, have a solid performance there, and that should pretty much secure you a berth.
Yeah, we've done well this season, and I feel like we're in a good position. I don't like to guarantee or punch any ticket until it's official, but we do need to finish strong and really just can't take anything for granted.
Been here since 2012 now. This is really your program. You've established it, put your stamp on it, and I know there's work to be done, but, and I'm going to assume here, I feel comfortable in saying that you're pleased with the direction the program's headed in.
Absolutely. My first year I met with Coach Saban and just asked him for a little advice. He said, keep moving the chains. And I feel like the chains have been moving, and we're definitely getting better every year, and this has been our best year since I've been here.
Facility-wise now, you stack up against anybody. I know recruiting in men's tennis, you've got to go a long way sometimes, but when you get them here to Tuscaloosa, do you like your chances of signing them up?
We do. We've got a couple in this weekend too, so we're excited. It's a great, exciting weekend to bring someone on campus, and a big match tomorrow to show them what our program is all about.
Absolutely. Final regular season match tomorrow. One more quick word on the SECs. Your goal there is to be in that upper third. You'll have to work at it, but you feel strongly that this team can do that?
Yeah, I've felt all along that we've got a really good team. So again, talent doesn't get you over the top. You got to work hard and put your head down and move forward, and that's just what it is. You gain a yard, you gain 5. Yeah. Whatever, you just got to get out there and fight.
And again, what time at the Alabama Tennis Stadium tomorrow for the final match against Vanderbilt?
1 p.m. with a 12:30 cookout starting free for all fans.
Hey, free food, you can't beat it. Thank you, Coach.
Hey, thank you very much for having
me. Don't go anywhere. We'll explain why, despite losing the nation's top center and starting right tackle, the Crimson Tide has reason for optimism on the offensive line. And also reason for optimism with the Tide's backfield. We'll go in depth on the guys replacing last year's Heisman Trophy winner. That's all coming up next on CTKO. Right after this timeout.
Welcome back to Crimson Tide Kickoff. I'm Zach Tigert. Usually when the offensive line gets talked about, it's a bad thing. It generally means they aren't doing their job. This spring, however, is an exception to that rule. Alabama lost 2 2015 starters, and All-American center Ryan Kelly and senior right tackle Dominic Jackson. And this spring, sophomore Ross Piercebaker, who started at left guard last year, has emerged as the likely starting center to replace Kelly. But multiple spots up front still remain, and according to Nick Saban, those spots are likely to be filled by some underclassmen.
I think that we have more guys to coach that have more ability. Lester Cotton has had a really good spring, and if I had to say, is he one of the top 5 linemen based on what he's done this spring, I would say probably yes. Well, some of the younger guys are making progress. Jonah has done a nice job, and so we're to see how they continue to progress. The young guards are making progress and getting better. Talking about Dallas and Brandon Kennedy. So we're going to work hard to get the best 5 guys on the field.
A young and deep group up front, and one thing is for certain, Gary, they're going to be fun to watch for years to come.
All right, thank you, Zach. Nice story. They are big, and they are strong, and they are ready. And those young offensive linemen will be looking to open some holes for the young running backs. During Coach Saban's time at Alabama, he has coached some of the best running backs in program history. But now, with less experience in the backfield than he's ever had, WVUA 23's Jen LaMonica explains why Saban is looking for one of those young running backs to seize the opportunity.
Under Nick Saban, Alabama has had 3 first-team All-American running backs, including the school's only 2 Heisman winners. The Crimson Tide's dominant running game has become a tradition, but this year is a little different.
We've never, ever lost our 2 bell cow guys in the same year. You can go all the way back to the beginning, Mark, Trent, Eddie, Eddie, TJ, Derek. And Derek and Kenyan Drake just happened to be, a little closer together. So I think there's going to be some opportunity for some young players there.
Those young players, like Bo Scarborough and Damian Harris, have big shoes to fill, and their teammates look forward to seeing them continue the tradition.
Derek's a great player, and can't replace him, but, Bo's going to do a good job. Damian, some other guys are ready to step up and, fulfill that role. Both guys, man, great guys, man. Bo, stepping in and doing what he has to do this spring, trying to get better as well as Damian, man. So we got 2 good backs. All of our backs are great, man. So it's going to be great blocking for all of them.
I mean, Bo, he's a tough competitor, man. I mean, he's pretty much a carbon copy of Derek, you know. He's great. He's a hard runner, a hard worker, and y'all going to see in A-Day.
Scarborough and Harris are on opposing A-Day teams, so both will get a chance to show their skills in front of the fans today. And then in the fall, we'll see if either has the potential to join the list of great Alabama running backs. For Crimson Tide Kickoff, I'm Jen LaMonica.
Thank you, Jen. So there's no shortage of storylines, and who better to discuss all of the storylines than the man from the game on 99.1, Ryan Fowler. Never shy on an opinion. He'll join us next. Plus, we'll take a final look at the weather. We're a little over 3 hours away from kickoff, so stay with us right here on CTKO. Our 8A special will continue.
My question is, when you look at A-Day and you look at Alabama football, we got to find an answer at the quarterback position. And it starts, who is it? Cooper Bateman? I don't know. We'll find out as we look at this Alabama quarterbacks and Nick Saban. That's his kryptonite. If he has one, you got to search for a weakness for Nick Saban, but it's definitely development of the quarterback position.
Welcome back to Crimson Tide Kickoff's 8A special. I'm Gary Harris. Joining me for our final segment is Ryan Fowler, host of the game on Tide 99.1 FM. Now, oh man, hey, why are you worried about the quarterback? He's won championships, national championships with McElroy, McCarron, Coker, SEC championship with Blake Sims. Does it really matter who the quarterback is?
Well, does it really matter? I think it does, and I think this year is going to be different. I think that when you look at this team, the strength of this team is wide receivers. Right now.
Right.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. They're
so
really
you got to
good.
have somebody to get them the football.
Well, you don't think out of those 4 guys they're going to find one that can
I
do
think
that?
they'll find one, but I don't know if right now, you seem like the guy that is getting all the attention, Cooper Bateman. I still question a little bit of his arm strength. So we'll see. We'll know in about 3 hours.
Well, you call the quarterback Nick Saban's kryptonite. It sounds like you're questioning every one of them.
It is his kryptonite. It is his weakness. But it's also 32 NFL teams? It's their weakness, too, because there's really 20 quarterbacks in the league. So it's not only Nick Saban's kryptonite, it's the NFL kryptonite. It's the hardest position to develop, but we'll see.
Well, whichever quarterback wins the job, he's going to be able to hand the ball off to number 9, Bo Scarborough. We just got spoiled with the backs that have come through here. This could be another great one.
It could be, and we've spoken to a lot of those former backs, and I know you featured Kenyan Drake a couple of minutes ago. These guys are real high on Bo Scarborough, local product, and we've watched him since his high school days, and he's on another level. I think he's the next great back at Alabama, but we'll see. We'll still got to prove it on the field.
Yeah, we mentioned quarterbacks and running backs. Any other matchups or things you're going to watch today in the 8A game? Should we keep a close eye on so you can stir it up on Monday?
Well, I want to see this crowd. I want to see if these fans have become complacent a little bit. So, Nick Saban's going to get you, and I'm going to get you on Monday as well if you're not here. So you better be inside Bryant Stadium. If you're not headed this way, you still got a little bit of time. But it is a nice crowd out there.
Fowler's going to be watching the crowd, so you better show up big numbers. If not, he'll call you out on Monday. Appreciate it, Ryan.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's take one final look at today's weather. WVUA 23 Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott is live right now in front of the quad. Richard, how are things shaping up?
Gary, a lot better out there. Sun is starting to peek out here in Tuscaloosa. Looks like skies should become mostly sunny here in the next couple of hours. Perfect time for A-Day. The rain is gone. Let's check it out on the satellite and radar composite. That little shower that moved over to Tuscaloosa, a little pesky light rain, it's gone. It's in Pickens County, far west Tuscaloosa County, moving away from us. Look east of us. Look at the sunshine. That's coming our way. That moves in throughout the rest of the day and into this afternoon. Check out the wind. So going to be windy today. It is whipping it. Check out the winds. Birmingham 15, Sylacauga 14. Winds will continue to gust out there. Check out temperatures quickly across the board. We've got temperatures that are warming now, back in the 60s, upper 60s in Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, low 60s. The game day forecast this evening or this afternoon, let's check that out to see what's going to happen because, hey, if you've got plans outdoors, we are looking a lot better. Temperature's going to be in those 70s a little later this afternoon, Gary, so not looking bad. Started off kind of rough, but now things are much better.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you for tuning in to our Crimson Tide Kickoff 8A special. You can always catch a replay of the program online at WVUA23.com. The show will also re-air in its entirety at 11:30 a.m. The 8A game kicks off in 3 hours. We'll have complete coverage tonight on WVUA News at 10. And as we leave you, we'll take a look at some pleasant scenes from Alabama's 16th National Championship. I'm Gary Harris. Thanks for watching. Enjoy A-Day, everybody, and have a great weekend.